Growing up and being born in New York, as a child I'd go to the beaches, Coney Island, Rockaway, Jones's Beach with my dad and family, and I appreciated the ocean as a getaway from the hustle and bustle and asphalt of New York City.
I think that it's an often neglected part of the world that doesn't get much attention, but I always think about the life that exists there and how we share the planet.
I grew up along the shores of Lake Michigan in Illinois, and so the lake has a big influence over the climate and the environment of that region, so anything that happens with the lake happens to the people.
One of the things that I love about living in New York is that even though it's such a dense urban space, you have so much access to the waterfront.
So the mission of SOA, it's a group centered around conservation around the marine environment. The New York City chapter specifically is trying to gather the New York City community together on this issue of marine conservation of the city's natural waterways to see what is the community's relationship to these waterways, and then how can we gather together, start a conversation about how we can protect those waterways to make sure that they're safe and beautiful for following generations to come. When you think of environmental issues or people talk about environmental issues, it's scientific reports that just come out that center around data, or political panels that gather to talk about environmental issues. They're centered on cold evidence, whereas the idea behind having this Marine City art show is to bring more of the human element back into what this issue is really about. Bringing these artists together who live in Greenpoint, live in North Brooklyn, who are surrounded by the marine environment of New York City and have a relationship to it.
Greenpoint Art Circle is a community organization that basically started in 2019, calling local creators and artists, visual creators of any kind and any level, to come together to check in really about their creative practices and to have some measure of accountability and even form a small community of people who know each other.
So the pieces that they make are really representative of their experience with the marine environment that exists in the city. And I think what's really wonderful about that is when you see their pieces, you really see that relationship between built and natural environment and the person's relationship to it.
The photographs that I took, when you look at them, you see basically just the Manhattan cityscape, like these beautiful, magnificent, larger-than-life buildings. But half of the frame is actually the East River. We should be thinking about life in other ways, nature, marine ecosystems, because they are important.
I drew a lot of inspiration from Walt Whitman's Crossing Brooklyn Ferry, specifically where he talks about imagining his reader decades and centuries hence, which is where we are now. Just thinking about the layers of history and the layers of usage, like the coastline and that kind of area, and specifically about what are now our most recent parks, or former dock areas or industrial plants and oil refineries.
Seeing the Newtown Creek being polluted my whole life, it keyed into this theme of the show. I wanted to do something more representational than my normal abstract work, where I work morphic shapes and things.
The first thing that came to mind with the theme was actually Greenpoint's history with the waterfront, and specifically the issues with pollution, general environmental toxicity on the waterfront. That kind of led me down a path of looking at different environments in Brooklyn that have been through similar misuses.
I hope that the show really provokes thought and conversation, and then moreover, hopefully action. So I hope that people come to the show, see the art around this theme of marine conservation of New York City waterways, and that it promotes actual action to protect these waterways that we're kind of showcasing through this visual art medium.